Hey, legal team. Welcome once again to another Fitz in Law School episode. I'm Fitz, and today we're going to be talking about your summer internship. This is your summer internship for your 1L summer. Okay, and so right now I kind of want to cover two basic things within while we're talking about your summer internship. The first one is essentially how to succeed in that summer internship. And the second sort of phase is essentially what you want to get out of your summer internship. So there's two different things. So let's just launch right into it. So the first one is essentially how to succeed. And I have like 4 parts to figure out how to succeed. Okay. And these are kind of tenets that I really bring to any kind of new job. But I think that it's super important when you're when you're employed in a job that has a very kind of specific skill set where you're expected to do something based on this really specific knowledge that you have. It's not like, like a general task kind of a thing, or a general job, as opposed to like a really specialized job like a lawyer or like a legal intern. And there's the added wrinkle of essentially they know that you're not quite up to snuff yet because this is your 1L summer. So you have 1 year of law school. That's not even that, it's not a majority. You don't have a majority of the knowledge that you're expected to get yet. And so how useful can you really be to that job? Well, they know that. They understand that. They get it. But the interesting and important thing is that sometimes you need to get it too. And I know that I struggle with this all the time. I think that I know the answer, or maybe I don't ask a question or something like that when I should. And that's just definitely something that a lot of people struggle with. And so definitely you need to work on that. But, and so do I. But yeah, so 4 things. The first one is essentially know what you're in for. Okay. Jobs in your 1L summer, they fluctuate a lot. And the reason they fluctuate a lot is because the employer understands the level of legal knowledge that you have, the legal resources that you have, your ability to do research, your ability to draw legal conclusions. Like, that's all in essentially its infancy stages right now. You're going to get better. You're going to learn more, of course. And they know that. And so they know that you're useful up until a point. And so because of that, you might be doing things that you don't necessarily like to do or don't want to do. That's just kind of the nature of the job, and that's just the nature of any job. You might be like, I am talking to a lot of my friends who have a lot of different summer jobs right now. Some are still like doing the classic like coffee thing. They're out getting coffee. Like, sure, that happens a lot. Some of my friends are working in tech, and so am I. And so our lives are very different from people who are working in, say, a law firm or in a government position. So essentially, just understand that sometimes you'll be doing things that maybe don't quite fit the job description that you were expecting, but that's just the nature of the beast. So yeah. So the second thing is this kind of feeds into my opening spiel is you need to know your limitations. And by that, I mean, yeah, like I was saying, there's a whole bunch of knowledge that you don't have yet that you're going to get. But as of right now, you don't have it. And so that's just something that is really important to understand and get to know and accept. The fact that if you run into a wall, if you run into something that you have no idea what you're doing, or let's say you write a memo, and when you write the memo and you give it to your supervising attorney and they give it back to you and it's torn to shreds with red lines, that's going to happen. Of course that's going to happen. That you're learning. You're still learning. That's a part of the natural process. And it's also a good thing because that means that your writing will get that much better. My 1L or my first semester at law school, we had this teacher he was just so dedicated to really, really good writing that he would do just like easily like 100 comments and tons and tons of red lines on everyone's papers, and we always really, really appreciate that. And then my second semester, not as much. It was like, yeah, you have this thing to work on, that thing to work on, and here's like some general pointers. But as for like pointing out really specific things, they didn't really do that. And so sometimes professors do that and sometimes they don't. Sometimes supervising attorneys do that and sometimes they don't. But I think that more help and more red lines and stuff is always the better option than too little or too little direction or something. So I think that's always a good thing. Okay, that's always a good thing, and it shows that you're learning, it shows that you're trying, and it shows that you're going to improve. I mean, it just will. So that's a good thing. All right, so don't worry about that. The third thing is kind of something that I really value, and I really think that kind of everyone should be this way, because this is something that's helpful in an office. It's helpful in a group. It's helpful in an academic setting. It's helpful in any kind of a setting, and that's be the happy guy. Be the happy person. And by that, I mean, approach every task that you get assigned with a smile. Always be enthusiastic about doing a new project. Always say, oh, of course, yeah, I would love to. That sounds like so much fun. Obviously not in a fake or trying really hard way, but just, you're here to learn. You're here to experience a lot of new things. And so why wouldn't you? Like I just did like a little commercial thing for Shopkick, the company that I work at right now. And so I don't know if it's ever going to air or whatever. I don't know if it's ever going to like be on the internet or anything like that. It probably won't. But still, it was super fun to do. And why not? Like it's just so much fun. So be the one that participates. Be the one that's always there. Be the one that always wants to do the thing that people in your office want to do. And also approach every task that you get assigned with a smile. I mean, that's just, it goes a long way. And at the very least, like the majority of the time when people are trying to remember something about someone, it's not the thing that you did, it's not the work that you did. It obviously depends on the person, but it's just usually not like some concrete thing that you remember. What the person does remember when they're thinking about you is how you made them feel. And so if you're happy, then usually that happiness is infectious, and so that makes other people happy. And so that it's just kind of a positive correlation, and that will obviously help you throughout your entire career. That's a good thing. So be happy. And the last, number 4 for my how to succeed section is ask questions. Ask questions. Always, always, always ask questions. That's always been something that I struggle with, 100%. I want to seem like I know what I'm talking about, and so I'm kind of either afraid to ask questions, or I think that maybe asking questions makes me look dumb, or it's something like that. And that's silly. That's so dumb. You can't be afraid to ask questions, because you're in a situation and you're in a profession where the entire point is to collaborate. The entire point is to work together. That's a very, very important thing. And it's never just one lawyer. 99.9% of the time, it's never one lawyer. When every single company that I've worked at, where I've worked with lawyers and stuff, they always say, I think it's that way. I think that you should run this by this other lawyer because they know more about this subject than I do. That's something that you always need to do, and that's something that is a really, really good habit to get into. And on the other side, it makes people feel valued. It makes people feel positive about you when you come to them. You say, hey, you can help me because I need help, and I know you're an expert, and I know you know this subject really, really well. And once again, that's just this positive feeling that you want to establish when it comes to you being in the workplace. But yeah, ask questions. That's always super important. And that's really, if you just kind of do those 4 general things on top of obviously doing good work, you'll have a really, really successful time. And at the very least, the people there will say, I want to help this person out, and that's what you want. And this actually goes perfectly into my second section here. My second section is the things that you want to get out of your internship. Okay, so for this, I just essentially have 3 basic things. So the first thing that you really want to get, and this is obvious, is experience. What you want to do is, the majority of people, it seems, within law school are now coming to law school with work experience. That's slowly been changing. It used to be super like normal and stuff for people to go straight out of college directly to law school. Now it seems like the majority of people are now having work experience or something like that, or they kind of understand what the legal field is going to be like for them. Some people you don't. And then the other thing is that sometimes you work in fields that you've never worked in before, or sometimes you work in a firm and you've never worked in a firm, or at a company and you've never worked at a company, but you're gaining valuable experience. And so that's the entire point. And so what you really, really want to do is volunteer for everything. This kind of comes with the happy guy kind of thing. You want to volunteer for everything. You want to be insatiable when it comes to learning, when it comes to reading, when it comes to participating, because that's how you gain this phenomenal, fantastic experience. It's not very it's not very often that the company or the firm or whatever is only dealing with the one legal thing that you've been asked to do. And so, they're obviously always dealing with more things. And so, yeah, just going and asking, hey, do you need help? Does anyone need help? I want to learn about this or something like that. I think it would just be kind of odd if you were confronted by 1,000 people who are all working on different things and they say, no, we're not going to let you help us out, or we don't need any help, or you would be useless or something like that. That there's lots of simple things. Just even on the most complicated of cases, there's always simple things that some lawyers maybe don't want to do, and it's perfect for an intern. But or just go and have lunch, go and have a coffee, and talk about what they're doing. This is all valuable experience for you to gain. So yeah, so what you want to, the first thing you really want to get out of a job is experience, and you'll get a great amount of experience if you really kind of seek it out, as opposed to just saying yes to whatever projects are kind of like put on you. Also, seeking them out is also a great way to gain experience. The second thing you want to get is a writing sample. So a writing sample is very, very important because you kind of use that to apply to firms later on. You also use that for future jobs. You use that for things within law school itself, like trying out for teams or trying out for journals. Sometimes they take outside writing samples. That's just a very, very valuable thing to have. And also, on a personal note, it's kind of also a nice keepsake. Like, it's a nice little memory or reminder of where you've come from and where you're going and stuff. And so that's just a very, very useful thing to have. And especially since it's been it's like dipped within that kind of experience or that kind of law that you're working with. It just shows that you know a lot about the law, and then it's been checked over 1,000 times by you and your attorney. And so it will be a good writing sample. And so that's something that you're going to use a lot. So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3 is contacts. You want to get to know the people within the legal community. There are bubbles that are all around the country. Like I know that California is one of the larger bubbles, but then within that, the Bay Area, huge bubble. And so there are these communities of legal people, lawyers, judges, paralegals, all these kinds of people who are close knit. A lot of them know each other. A lot of them have gone to the same schools. A lot of them have worked with each other in like various companies and various firms and stuff. And they keep in touch. Especially with the internet and LinkedIn and stuff, it's always 10 times easier now to keep in touch. And so you're going to want to be able to call upon those contacts if you ever need help, if you ever need advice, if you ever need, someone to help you open the door. That's always a good thing to have, is more contacts, and just know people in general, because yeah, it's like there's so many times where I've heard people talk about how they were going to go work at a firm and they wanted to work at this firm, and it seemed like the work that they did was really, really in line with what they wanted to do. And then they talked with someone who used to work there or who just left, and they said, nope, sorry, like they have a bad culture, or the opposite. They have a great culture, and I can introduce you, and we can have coffee and stuff. And so, again, just like I've said before 1,000 times on this channel, more information is better than less information. So those are my, I guess, 7 things. For how to succeed, you want to know what you're in for. You want to know your limitations. You want to be the happy guy, and you want to ask questions. For the things you need to get out of your internship, you want experience, you want a writing sample, and you want contacts. Okay? If you follow those 7 things, I guarantee you're going to have a fantastic summer, and you're going to have a fantastic legal 1L job experience. So next video, let's see, what are we going to talk about next video? Haven't decided yet. We are going to talk about I'm going through the application of the early interview program right now, which is essentially like the what Hastings calls their on-campus interview program for firms for next summer. That's already happening. It's crazy how fast that comes. So I think that's what we're going to talk about next time. We're going to talk about applying to firms, and probably not on-campus interviews, because I'll make a video for that after those actually happen, about what my experience was like and all that stuff. But maybe selecting the firms, and like how to apply and all that stuff. Okay? All right. See you later, guys.